Okay, so in this video, this last one, we're going to look at displacement maps. Now, displacement maps or height maps basically change the geometry of the shape. So they do increase the poly count, so you want to use them sparingly or use them only when the player gets close or when the camera sees it. And you'll see that happening in video games. If you watch really closely, you'll sometimes see the geometry change slightly with LOD, and it's normally accomplished through either height maps or decimation of the mesh itself. So there's a few things we need to set up for this to make this happen. So we're going to go back to our example sphere. So the first thing we need to do is actually change a part of the geometry that allows it to be able to move some of these vertices up where it needs to, so that we can actually change that. So we need to go over here to P-Sphere and go over to P-Sphere Shape, and we're going to go to Smooth Mesh and click Displacement Preview. Now you won't see anything because there's no displacement map attached. The next thing we're going to do is right click and hold and go down to Material Attributes. Now typically this is normally where we put all of our maps, but this one's going to exist outside of that. So you'll see here, you see Phong E1SG, that stands for Shader Group. So this is actually the shading group, and it's made up of the surface material, the volume material, and displacement material. Now currently we don't have anything in here for those two, so we're going to click here on Displacement Matte, and we're going to pick a file because we want to import that height map file. And you can see here you would have seen the sphere just kind of moved out a little bit there because by default it's just got a value of 1. So we're going to click here on this one and now just put in that height map model, so this one here. So white is the parts that will extrude out the most, and black is the parts that will extrude out the least. So we're going to go open. Now be prepared, this will look a bit weird when we first start, but we'll adjust it later. So as we can see, it's looking a little bit spiky, a bit like a morning star, and this is because, as I said before, the white part is really extruded out quite a lot as one. So we want to actually change how this looks. Now rather than going and editing the image in a software like Photoshop, we're actually just going to change it here with the color balance module. So we're just going to go down here, expand this, and I'm just going to switch down the exposure. And as you can see up here, the image itself is now changing. It's going through a filter that basically changes how intense some of those whites are, so that it now just has that instead. So that's how you apply displacement maps.